Have you ever seen a couple sitting in silence at a cafe, not saying a word, but somehow you just know they're in love? Not because they're holding hands or kissing, but because of the way he gently pushes her coffee a little closer, the way he looks at her when she's not paying attention, or how she smiles at something he didn't say out loud. It's in those quiet, ordinary moments that something extraordinary becomes visible. Now here's a question we rarely ask ourselves. What if real love doesn't scream, but whispers? What if the most powerful ways a man expresses love aren't in declarations or gifts, but in actions so small they often go unnoticed? It might sound surprising, but recent psychological studies have shown that over 60% of women feel most loved through everyday actions rather than romantic gestures. And yet, most of us are trained to look for the big signs: flowers, trips, dramatic I love yous. Meanwhile, the real indicators of emotional intimacy are unfolding quietly, right in front of us. In this video, we're going to uncover something truly eye-opening: the 12 subtle but powerful ways a man shows genuine love. This isn't about idealized love from fairy tales. This is real love, deep love, the kind that exists when no one's watching. Let me tell you a quick story. Years ago, a woman named Claire was in a relationship that, to others, looked fine. Her partner never forgot an anniversary. He gave expensive gifts and even posted sweet messages on social media. But behind closed doors, something felt hollow. He wasn't mean. He wasn't unfaithful. But she constantly felt unseen. One night, after a long, exhausting day, Claire came home in tears. She sat down on the couch and said nothing. Her partner looked at her and simply asked, "Want me to order something for dinner?" It wasn't cruel, but it wasn't love either. A few years later, Claire met someone else, someone quieter. On paper, he wasn't nearly as romantic. But when she cried, he held her hand. When she was sick, he brought her soup without being asked. He remembered that she liked exactly 1 cube of ice in her tea and always left space for her side of the bed. He never said he was perfect, but she felt loved in ways she couldn't explain. Why? Because love isn't a performance. It's a presence. So why does this matter? Because far too often, we miss these signs. We underestimate them. Or worse, we wait for grand gestures, while real love is being quietly demonstrated every single day. And if you're in a relationship right now, or hoping to be in one soon, learning to recognize these behaviors can change everything. It helps you see love where it truly lives. It helps you appreciate someone who may not know how to say, "I love you," in words, but is screaming it with their actions. That's exactly what we're going to explore together. These 12 psychological behaviors aren't just theories. They're backed by research, personal experience, and emotional truth. They show us how men, often taught to suppress vulnerability, find silent ways to say, "I'm here. I care. You matter." According to the Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest and most respected studies on human relationships, people who feel genuinely seen and understood in their close relationships live longer, healthier, and more fulfilled lives. And that kind of connection, it's rarely built on grand gestures. It's built on daily choices, quiet moments, unspoken support. So if you've ever wondered, does he really love me? Even if he doesn't say it all the time? Why doesn't he show his feelings the way I expect? Am I missing the signs because they're not loud? Then this video is for you. Because the truth is, love looks different on everyone. And for many men, especially those raised in cultures that reward strength and stoicism, love is action, not announcement. By the end of this video, you won't just be able to identify these signs. You'll feel the difference. You'll be able to spot the kind of man who may not buy you roses, but will remember how you like your pillow fluffed. Who may not write poetry, but will wait up for you when you're late just to make sure you're safe. You'll start to recognize the love that isn't performed for others, but lived quietly and consistently for you. And if you've already found that love, this video will remind you how rare and sacred it really is. And if you haven't, don't lose hope. It's out there. Sometimes it just doesn't come wrapped in ribbons. It comes in routines, in patience, in being chosen, not just once, but daily. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and join me on this journey. Let's uncover the signs you've been waiting to see, not just with your eyes, but with your soul. Now that we've opened our hearts to the idea that real love speaks through actions, not just words, let's begin uncovering the 12 signs that reveal how a man shows genuine love. The first one is simple, yet deeply powerful. He enjoys physical contact with you, but not just in the way you might think. Let's pause for a second. When people hear physical touch, their minds often jump to the idea of attraction or intimacy. And yes, those are parts of it. But when a man truly loves you, touch becomes something more than physical. It becomes emotional. It becomes spiritual. It becomes safe. Let me tell you a story. In 2020, during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, researchers at the University of Essex in the UK conducted a study on touch deprivation. With lockdowns isolating millions, they found that people began to crave simple physical gestures more than ever. A hug from a loved one, a reassuring pat on the back, holding hands. What was once normal became deeply missed. One surprising finding? Couples who maintained physical touch, even something as simple as sitting shoulder to shoulder on the couch, reported higher emotional stability and lower stress levels than those who didn't. Why is this important? Because it showed us something we often overlook. Touch is a form of emotional communication. And when a man reaches out for your hand, or leans his shoulder into yours, or simply wraps his arm around you without saying a word, he's speaking a language far older than speech. Think about it. You're standing in the kitchen, chopping vegetables. Suddenly, he walks by, gently places a hand on your back, and keeps walking. It seems small, ordinary. Maybe you don't even notice it right away. But that small gesture says, I see you. I'm here with you. You matter to me. When a man enjoys physical contact in this way, it's not about passion or need. It's about connection. According to the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, a 2021 study revealed that in long-term relationships, non-sexual physical affection, like cuddling, hugging, casual touches, had a stronger correlation with emotional satisfaction than any other love language. For men especially, who are often raised in cultures that discourage verbal vulnerability, touch becomes one of the few safe spaces where love can be expressed without pressure, without pretense. So how do you know when it's real? Watch for the moments when he reaches for you not because he wants something, but because he wants to be close. When he pulls you into a hug after a long day, not to fix the problem, but just to let you feel held. When he strokes your hair while you're lying next to him. When his touch isn't loud, but intentional. These are not reflexes. These are emotional offerings. One woman once shared with me something that struck a chord. She said, I used to think love meant being kissed passionately all the time. But with him, it's different. The way he brushes my hand when I'm anxious, the way he holds me when I sleep, it's like his touch is saying, you're safe now. I never had that before. And that's the point. When a man enjoys touching you, not out of desire, but out of peace, comfort, and emotional closeness, it's a deep indicator of love. You become not just someone he's attracted to, but someone who grounds him, someone who makes him feel at home. Your presence becomes his resting place. Science backs this up too. Touch triggers the release of oxytocin, known as the love hormone. This chemical helps reduce stress, increase bonding, and build trust. In a 2019 study by the Kinsey Institute, couples who engaged in regular, affectionate physical contact, like holding hands or hugging, reported 20% higher relationship satisfaction than those who did not. That's a huge difference, and it doesn't cost a thing. And let's be honest, love isn't always poetic. Life gets messy. Schedules are full. Arguments happen. But when a man still reaches for you in those moments, when he leans his forehead against yours after a disagreement, or simply sits beside you when you're too tired to talk, that's not lust. That's loyalty. That's presence. And that's the kind of love that stays. So if you've noticed that he enjoys being near you, not just sexually, but emotionally, take a moment to honor that, to hold that truth gently in your heart. Because not every man will say, I love you in long speeches, but the one who reaches for your hand in silence, the one who holds you close without needing a reason, the one who touches you like he's reminding himself you're real, he's telling you more than words ever could. And that is real love. We've talked about how a man's touch can speak louder than any declaration, but let's go deeper. The second sign of genuine love is one that's often overlooked, yet it's one of the clearest windows into the heart. A man who loves you listens to you, not passively, but with purpose. Now, listening may sound like a basic social skill, right? But there's a vast difference between hearing your voice and absorbing your meaning. A man who's truly invested doesn't just let your words pass through him. He receives them, remembers them, and reflects on them. Let me take you to a moment you might recognize. Imagine you're sitting at the dinner table, sharing a story about your day, maybe a small frustration at work, or something exciting you experienced. He's across from you, phone in hand, nodding occasionally. But something feels off. His eyes are elsewhere. His responses are automatic. He's technically there, but not really with you. Now imagine the same scene, but with one crucial difference. He puts his phone face down. He leans in slightly. He doesn't interrupt. His eyes stay locked on yours, not out of obligation, but curiosity. When you pause, he gently asks you to continue. When you finish, he reflects, not just repeating your words, but showing he understood what they meant to you. That's not just listening. That's emotional presence. According to a 2022 study published in the Journal of Relationship Research, couples who report high levels of attentive listening, where one partner gives full focus without distractions, show 35% more emotional closeness than those who do not. The same study revealed that women, in particular, equate attentive listening with trust, safety, and long-term compatibility. Why is this so important? Because when a man listens to you this way, he's doing more than gathering information. He's communicating that your inner world matters. He wants to understand not just what you say, but why you say it, your hopes, your frustrations, your subtle shifts in tone. He's telling you, in no uncertain terms, what lives inside you is important to me. Let's break down the psychology behind this. In relationships, listening isn't just about gathering facts. It's about creating what therapists call empathic resonance, the feeling of being fully seen and emotionally mirrored. When someone listens without judgment, filters, or distractions, they validate our experiences and create a secure emotional space. And here's the thing, real listening requires effort. It asks for patience, humility, and care. It means putting aside the urge to fix or respond or steer the conversation. It means being okay with silence. It means saying, I'm not here to solve you. I'm here to understand you. I once met a couple who had been married for 38 years. When I asked them the secret to their connection, the husband smiled and said something simple but profound. I never stopped asking her questions. She always had more to say, and I never got tired of hearing it. That stuck with me. Not because it sounded poetic, but because it showed that listening, real listening, is an act of love in motion. It's choosing every day to hear not just the words, but the soul behind them. Here's a practical sign to watch for. When you're feeling vulnerable, maybe you're emotional, overwhelmed, or struggling to articulate what's wrong. Does he wait? Does he let the silence sit without rushing you? Or does he listen only to reply, to give a quick solution, to move on? A loving partner won't treat your thoughts like background noise. He will hold space for you, even when you don't know how to express everything perfectly. He'll make room for your feelings, even when they're messy or raw. In fact, many emotionally intelligent men describe listening as a kind of act of devotion. They might not write poems or craft flowery speeches, but when they can quote something you said last week that made you laugh, or remember your exact words during a hard conversation from months ago, that's emotional memory, and it means something. It means you're not just present in his life, you're present in his mind. And in a world that moves fast, where everyone is glued to screens and always multitasking, someone who stops everything just to listen to you, really listen, is offering a rare and sacred gift, his undivided attention. So if you've ever questioned whether your words matter, pay attention to this. Does he ask follow-up questions days later about something you mentioned? Does he bring up small details you barely remember sharing? Does he lean in when you speak, not just with his body, but with his whole heart? If so, understand this. You're being heard on a level that most people crave but rarely experience. That kind of listening, it's not casual. It's not routine. It's love. In every lasting relationship, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Love is not just about attraction or chemistry. It's about adaptability. A man who truly loves you will not only accept you, but he'll also evolve because of you. Not out of pressure, but out of a deep desire to create harmony, to meet you halfway, and to grow alongside you. This brings us to the third sign of real love. He's willing to change for you. Let's be honest, the idea of someone changing for a partner has gotten a bad reputation. You probably heard things like, you shouldn't have to change for anyone. And while there's truth in that, no one should lose themselves to please another. There's a powerful distinction between losing your identity and choosing to adapt out of care. When a man is emotionally invested, change doesn't feel like sacrifice. It feels like investment. It feels like choosing love over comfort. Let me share an example. Back in 2021, a behavioral psychologist named Dr. Sarah Livingston conducted a series of interviews with couples in long-term, committed relationships. One key pattern emerged. Men who made small, voluntary adjustments in their daily habits, such as altering sleep routines, adjusting communication styles, or participating in their partner's interests, consistently reported stronger relationship satisfaction. What stood out wasn't the scale of the change. It was the intent behind it. One participant described giving up his Sunday morning soccer games, something he'd done religiously for over a decade, because his partner had recently lost a family member and was struggling emotionally. For a few months, instead of joining his friends, he stayed home. Not because she asked, but because he knew what she needed more than anything was to not feel alone. That wasn't weakness. That was love, choosing empathy over ego. Here's the thing, we all have patterns, habits, preferences, comfort zones. Some of them are harmless. Others, however, may unintentionally create distance or disconnection in a relationship. A man who refuses to reflect or adapt, even when something he does is hurting the connection, may care for you, but he's still prioritizing himself. A man who loves you deeply, he listens when something matters to you. He reflects when you express concern. He notices when you're hurting. And when something in his behavior doesn't serve your relationship, he takes action. It might be something small. Maybe he used to tease you in ways that felt hurtful, and he stopped the moment you opened up about it. Maybe he used to be emotionally distant, and after hearing how that affected you, he started putting effort into checking in with your feelings more regularly. Maybe he used to ignore relationship milestones, but now he's the one planning special moments. These are not random adjustments. These are relational choices, signals that he values your emotional well-being more than his old routines. Let's go deeper into the psychology here. According to the theory of transformational love, developed in 2018 by psychologist Dr. Michelle Davis, genuine love often inspires what she calls willing behavioral shifts. These aren't forced changes, but chosen adaptations that stem from emotional attunement and mutual respect. The research shows that individuals who feel emotionally secure are more likely to change habitual behaviors when they understand the emotional impact of those behaviors on someone they love. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming better together. And it's important to notice the difference between healthy change and manipulation. Real change happens when a man makes choices to strengthen your connection, not to earn points or keep the peace temporarily, but because your happiness is genuinely tied to his. There's also a beautiful honesty in the fact that men don't always express this transformation with words. Sometimes they just do it quietly, with intention, like switching from texting during arguments to sitting down and asking, "Can we talk face to face?" Like replacing sarcasm with sincerity when he sees how deeply you take things to heart. Like choosing to skip a night out so he can spend time with you. Not because he's controlled, but because he genuinely wants to be with you. One woman shared something I'll never forget. She said, "He used to be the kind of guy who never said sorry. Ever. But one day, after we had a hard talk, he looked at me and said, 'I realize being right doesn't matter as much as us being okay.' That changed everything. That is growth in action. That is love in motion. If you're with someone who makes these kinds of shifts, however small they seem, take note. You're not witnessing compromise out of obligation. You're seeing a man honor your value. You're watching him reshape parts of his world to make space for you. That's not about control. That's about commitment. So next time you wonder how deeply he loves you, ask yourself, has he shown flexibility where once he was rigid? Has he made space in his life to include what matters to you? Has he allowed your love to influence his actions, not just his words? If the answer is yes, then you're not just loved. You're seen, prioritized, and chosen over and over again. And that kind of change, that's not a weakness. That's a man in love. Love is often imagined in bold strokes, grand gestures, poetic words, dramatic moments. But the truth is, real love is built in the margins, in the quiet details most people overlook. This brings us to the fourth unmistakable sign that a man genuinely cares for you. He remembers the little things. Now, this might not sound revolutionary at first glance, but let's take a closer look. When someone recalls something you said weeks ago, something seemingly small, your favorite childhood snack, the name of your first pet, the story that made you cry on a rainy afternoon, what they're really saying is, you matter to me so much that I made space for your world and mine. Let me tell you about Mia and Evan. They had been dating for about 4 months when Mia casually mentioned, during a long walk, that tulips reminded her of her late grandmother. It wasn't a big moment, just a passing comment in a sea of conversation. She didn't think twice about it. A month later, on what would have been her grandmother's birthday, Evan showed up with a single yellow tulip. Not a bouquet, just one. And he didn't say much. He didn't need to. Mia broke down in tears because it wasn't the flower. It was the fact that he had listened, remembered, and acted on something that mattered to her. Something personal, something emotional, something intimate. That's the power of remembering. This isn't about memory capacity or how good someone is at taking mental notes. It's about emotional attention. In 2020, researchers at the University of California, Davis published a study on emotional recall in romantic relationships. The findings were clear. People who felt emotionally safe with their partners had significantly better memory retention of conversations and events involving those partners. Why? Because emotional connection activates deeper encoding in the brain. When we care, we remember. Simple as that. So when a man holds on to the details you share, even the ones you barely remember saying, it's not just a sweet trait. It's a neural response to emotional importance. He's remembering, not because he has to, but because his heart is paying attention. Here's where this becomes especially meaningful. In today's world, most of us are flooded with information. Social media feeds, text messages, endless to-do lists. We're conditioned to tune out what feels insignificant. So when a man chooses to tune in to you, he's actively resisting that noise. He's creating space in his oversaturated mind just for your stories, your memories, your quirks. He knows how you take your coffee. He remembers your best friend's name, even if they've only met once. He brings up that obscure movie you mentioned loving as a teen, just to see if you want to rewatch it together. None of these things are accidental. They are the invisible threads of emotional intimacy. Think about the last time you felt truly seen. Not just heard, but remembered. It's a profound feeling, isn't it? It tells you that you're not forgettable, that your thoughts don't vanish into thin air once they're spoken, that someone out there is collecting pieces of you, small fragments, and building something meaningful with them. That's what remembering the details does. It creates continuity, connection, and emotional safety. Now let's go a bit deeper. Psychologists refer to this type of attentiveness as narrative validation. It means recognizing someone else's internal story and holding on to parts of it because you care how it unfolds. When a man does this, he's not just participating in your life. He's weaving himself into your timeline with care and presence. It's also worth noting that for many people, especially those who have experienced past neglect or emotional dismissal, this kind of attention can be healing. It tells you, you don't have to repeat yourself here. I heard you the first time. That's a powerful message. Now, this doesn't mean he'll remember everything. He might forget the name of your favorite author occasionally, but the pattern is what matters. Is he showing consistent care by recalling what's important to you? Is he making connections between past conversations and present decisions? If so, you're not just being heard, you're being held in memory. And that's one of the rarest forms of closeness. So if the man in your life brings up something you thought was long forgotten, if he acts on a detail you shared once in passing, if he reflects back pieces of you that you've left scattered across days and months, then know this. He's listening with more than his ears. He's remembering with more than his mind. He's loving you with attention. And that kind of love, it doesn't just fill your heart. It anchors your soul. Let's take a moment to bring everything together. We've walked through the real ways a man expresses love, not through grand speeches or public gestures, but through consistent, meaningful actions. Things like holding your hand in silence, listening to your fears without trying to fix them, remembering the tiny details you thought no one else noticed, showing up even when it's inconvenient, and choosing to grow with you rather than against you. These are not gestures for show. They are choices made in private. They're the everyday signs that speak loudest when no one else is looking. And that's the truth. Real love doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be real. If you recognize some of these signs in your own relationship, then stop questioning his feelings. Appreciate the quiet loyalty. Value the presence that doesn't ask for attention. Because not everyone expresses love the same way. But when a man chooses to invest his time, energy, and focus in you, that's not random. That's love in action. And if you didn't recognize these signs, or felt that something was missing as you listened, that's okay too. Sometimes we don't see what's missing until we see what's possible. Now you know what to look for. Now you understand what healthy, grounded love really looks like. And now, you can choose better. You can love better. And more importantly, you can expect better from the people around you. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Love isn't built overnight. It's built in the small, daily choices a person makes to prioritize you, understand you, support you, and protect your space. Emotionally, mentally, and physically. You deserve someone who doesn't just say you matter, but shows you. Someone who learns how to love you in the way you receive love. Someone who wants to grow because being with you inspires them to become better. Not someone perfect, but someone consistent. That kind of love is out there. Sometimes it's already in your life, just quieter than expected. And other times it's still on its way. But now, you know how to recognize it when it shows up. Let me ask you something simple but important. Which one of these signs stood out the most to you? Maybe it was the quiet physical connection. Maybe it was being truly listened to. Maybe it was having your emotional needs remembered and respected. Whatever it was, I want to hear from you. Scroll down to the comments and share one thing from this video that opened your eyes or confirmed something you felt all along. Your words might help someone else see their own situation more clearly too. And if this video helped you or made you think differently about love and relationships, don't keep it to yourself. White heavy checkmark like this video to let us know you enjoyed it. White heavy checkmark subscribe to the channel so you never miss our weekly content on love, mindset, and emotional clarity. White heavy checkmark hit the bell icon so you're always notified when a new video drops. White heavy checkmark share it with a friend, sister, cousin, anyone who deserves to be loved the right way. If this video helped you, chances are someone you care about needs to hear this message too. This community is growing every day, and your support makes all the difference. We don't just talk about love here. We learn how to recognize it, honor it, and build it in real life. No fluff, no fantasy, just real conversations that help real people create stronger, healthier connections. So here's your final reminder. Love is not a mystery. It's not a trick, and it's not luck. It's a series of consistent, conscious choices made by someone who values you. And when a man shows you love in quiet, reliable ways, through action, not performance, believe it. Because love that lasts doesn't need to impress. It just needs to show up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And thank you for choosing to invest in your emotional clarity. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care, love wisely, and never settle for less than you deserve.